and welcome to Shyam's Story Time. I'm very glad to meet you all once again. We will begin today's Krishna story with a song. Natavara Krishna, Natavara Krishna, Radhe Nandalala. Natavara Krishna, Natavara Krishna, Radhe Nandalala. Hara Hare Madhava, Hare Gopika Lola. Hara Hare Madhava, Hare Gopika Lola. Krishna Gana Gana Leela, Krishna Gokula Bala. Krishna Gana Gana Leela, Krishna Gokula Bala. Hara Hare Madhava, Hare Gopika Lola. Natavara Krishna, Natavara Krishna, Radhe Nandalala. Okay, remember last session's story of Krishna? Right after Vasudeva brought his little baby Krishna and left him at Gokul, life was not the same at all in Gokul. Krishna was growing up to become an impossible prankster. As much as he was adorable, he was so mischievous, and his mother Yashoda constantly received complaints from all her friends. All the time there were complaints about Krishna. They kept coming and saying, "Look here Yashoda, your son is stealing butter from my home." Another one comes and says, "You know what, he is hurting and teasing me all the time. Is this how you will raise your son?" They asked Yashoda. Yashoda didn't know what to do. Sometimes Krishna even stole their clothes while they were bathing in the river. Like this, it continued for some time. Yeah, let's hear this song which will go very well with this situation. Teerada vilayattu pillai, Kannan teerada vilayattu pillai, Kannan teruvile pengalukku yada tollai, Teerada vilayattu pillai. Tinnapazham kondu tharuvan, Kannan tinnapazham kondu tharuvan, பாதி தின்கின்ற போதிலே தட்டி பறிப்பான். என்னப்பன் என்னையன் என்றார், என்னப்பன் என்னையன் என்றார், அதனை எட்டி பறித்து கடித்து கொடுப்பான். தீராத விளையாட்டு பிள்ளை, கண்ணன் தெருவிலே பெண்களுக்கோ யாத தொல்லை, தீராத விளையாட்டு பிள்ளை. Like this, complaints were there all the time for Yashoda. And you remember the seventh son of Devaki and Vasudeva? He was named Balarama, and he also grew up along with Krishna. They were both brothers and best friends. Yeah, and many events happened during their childhood. Remember the cruel King Kamsa? He wanted to kill Krishna. For this reason, he sent many demons and demonesses with the intent of slaying Krishna. So every other day, every now and often, there would be some demon or demoness coming to where Krishna was playing or doing his other chores, and there would be some such event happening. Today in our session, we will recall 3 such events that happened during the childhood of Krishna. So as Krishna and Balarama were growing up, they used to take all the cows and other cattle and take them for grazing. Yeah, they would take with them a lot of food, goodies to eat, a lot of instruments to play with. They used to sing and dance and have a good time as they were grazing the cows. One day, there was a demon named Aghasura who was sent by Kamsa. He was also the brother of this demoness named Putana. Some of you may know her. She had come when Krishna was still a very little baby, and she came to fed her milk and got killed. So this Aghasura was Putana's brother. He wanted to take revenge of his sister's death. So he wanted to kill Krishna. So he came there to the place where Krishna and Balarama and all the other Gopas were playing. Then he saw Krishna right in the center of all of them. He was blue in color and he was resplendent, he was so attractive. He immediately wanted to slay him. Then he thought of an idea. What did Aghasura do? He transformed himself into a huge python. They say this python was almost 8 miles long. From a distance, it looked like a big mountain. Such was the size of Aghasura. So he transformed himself into a big python, and he opened his big mouth and lay in wait. From a distance, Krishna, Balarama and all their friends were walking. They saw this and they mistook it for a cave. There was a big mountain and there was a cave in there. Now all the friends of Krishna said, Krishna, come, let's go inside that cave. That seems to be so nice. We will go inside and explore what is there. They all wanted to get in. Now Krishna saw and he found out that there is some danger in there. Before he could stop his friends, some of them already started to enter along with their cattle inside the big cave-like mouth of the python actually. So Krishna didn't know what to do. He waited outside. Almost all his friends have entered. Now they are his friends. How can Krishna leave them? He decided to enter also. Whereas the python was waiting, he did not close his mouth. He was waiting for Krishna to enter. And just when Krishna entered, he was about to close his mouth. Did he close? No. Before that, what happened? Well, inside the mouth, all the gopas, they mistook the huge tongue of this python for a big road, and they were trying to go inside the dark tunnel. Krishna enlarged his body. He became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, much bigger than the python. Can you imagine what would have happened to the demon Aghasura? He got shattered into several pieces. He fell down dead. And once he fell down dead, he transformed himself into his original form. Now all the gopas, they came out huffing and puffing. There were poisonous fumes coming out of Aghasura's mouth, and some of them lay down unconscious. Now just one glance of Krishna, it revived all of them. Then they saw this big demon who was lying down dead, and they were so surprised. Then they all praised and cheered Krishna. They took him in their shoulders and they all walked back home. After coming home, they told Yashoda about this story. You know what? Mother Yashoda did not even believe them. She said, you're all trying to prank me. What is this? Python in the size of a mountain? I won't believe all these stories. Like that she said, and she walked away. So this is the first event. Shall we recall one more event that happened in Krishna's childhood? So they were growing up very beautifully, Krishna and Balarama, in Gokul. After some time they realized that the pastures were getting over. So they wanted to relocate to another place which had fresh pastures for their cattle. So they all moved to Vrindavan. All the families in Gokul, almost the entire community of Yadavas, they all moved to Vrindavan. Like always, Krishna and Balarama, along with all the gopas, they used to take all the cows and cattle to graze. One day, they came to a small lake. They noticed that this lake was fed by the Yamuna river. Yamuna river used to look so beautiful. It was blue always and lovely to look at. Whereas this lake was black in color. Okay, they didn't bother about it and they all started to play. All the children were playing, the cows were grazing. Some of the cows wandered off to the banks of the lake and they started to drink some water. Likewise, some of the boys also went to the lake to quench their thirst. After drinking the water, they all lay down unconscious. Balarama was the first one to notice all of them. He came near them. Some of the boys and some of the cattle, they were all lying down unconscious. He got so scared and he called Krishna. Krishna, come here quickly. Do you see this? So many of our cattle, some of our friends are lying down unconscious. I had it out that time itself. Do you see this lake? It seems to be black in color. I think there is a snake living here. Maybe it has poisoned the lake. That is why all of them are lying down unconscious. We have to do something about it, Krishna. Balarama said this. Krishna said, don't you worry. I will take care of this snake. there was a big Kadamba tree that was along the banks of this lake. Krishna climbed on top of this tree and he dived into the lake. Like that he dived and he went into the depths of the lake. You know what was there? There was a 5-headed serpent. His name was Kalia. The 5-headed serpent, as he was sleeping, suddenly he noticed some turmoil in the lake. And then he noticed this young boy, Krishna, who was swimming across the lake. Yeah, he saw that this boy was so beautiful. He wore such rich robes. And he wondered, Kalia, the serpent, wondered, who is this boy? Then he went around and coiled himself. He was such a huge serpent and he was living there in that lake along with his entire family of snakes, so many of them. Kalia went and coiled himself around Krishna and he was trying to crush him, squish him to death. Outside on the shore, Balarama was watching along with all his friends as to what was happening. Slowly they noticed that Krishna was being coiled by a huge serpent. Balarama started to yell at everybody, go fetch Nanda, go fetch Yashoda, I am so scared. What is happening to our Krishna? Is he going to get killed? Some of the boys ran back home and fetched Yashoda and Nanda along with so many other elders from Vrindavan. They all ran and came to the banks of this lake. And you know what they saw? As soon as they came there, this was the sight. The 5-headed Kalia was high up on the surface of the lake and Krishna was on top of the hood and he was dancing to the tunes of his lovely flute. All the people saw this wonderful sight. Lo and behold, they were surprised. All of them started to cheer, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Everybody was so happy. And then the meek Kalia, he accepted defeat and he bowed down low to Krishna. Krishna said, look here Kalia, you have poisoned the entire lake. You know how many of our boys are lying down unconscious. So much of our cattle came here to quench their thirst. Likewise, so many animals would also come here to drink water. You must vacate this lake. Kalia accepted defeat and he vacated the lake along with his entire family. And then the lake became blue in color once all the poison went off along with Kalia, and it was fresh and safe for everybody to drink water from. Yeah, this is the second event that I said I would recall. Yeah, one more event which is also very interesting that happened in the childhood of Krishna. So like always, all the boys along with Krishna and Balarama took the cows to graze one day and they were all playing. Krishna used to introduce lot of different games for the Gopas and all of them would love playing those games. One day they decided they will play a team game. While this was happening, there was an asura. His name was Pralamba. He came with the intent of killing Krishna. He was also sent by that evil king Kamsa. He came there and he saw all the boys playing. He also wanted to transform himself into another Gopa, a friend of Krishna, and he wanted to mingle with them. So Pralamba disguised himself as a young Gopa boy and he mingled along with all the children. Krishna at once noticed that there was a foreign person amongst them. He sensed that there is some joy going to happen. If others had known this, they would have thought it is danger. But it was Krishna. He knew that there is going to be a nice, interesting fight that's going to ensue very soon. So this boy Gopa, what happened? He also started to play along with them. Now I told you Krishna introduced a new team game. He divided all the Gopas into two teams. Balarama headed one team and this side was Krishna who headed the other team. And this Pralamba Asura who came as a Gopa boy, he joined Krishna's team. And both the teams played this game and Krishna announced whichever team wins should be carried by the other members of the losing team. He announced this. Everybody said yay and they played the game. And that day Krishna's team lost the game. and they were to carry Balarama and all his team members on their shoulders, and they had to walk. Krishna carried one other Gopa boy from Balarama's team. And you remember Pralamba, who was also in Krishna's team? He was to carry somebody, right? He picked up Balarama himself and carried him. And they were all walking. Pralamba noticed that nobody was observing him. He thought this was the right moment, and he quickly wandered off the group. He went off to a distant place, to a secluded place. And he transformed to his original form, which was the asura, the demon, the Pralamba. Balarama suddenly noticed that he was sitting on top of a huge asura. He was shocked. What is happening? And this asura tried to pull Balarama down so he can crush him to death. Balarama refused to get off the shoulders. He was a strong boy, just like Krishna. He made a big fist and he started to pound on Pralamba's head. His head started to reel. Blood gushed out of his mouth and he lay down dead. Immediately, Balarama stood just next to him and he saw that the big demon was dead. Back there, Krishna and all their friends suddenly noticed that Balarama was missing amongst them. And this Pralamba, he gave a huge thunderous roar when he fell down dead. All these boys heard that roar and they all came running. They saw that there was a huge demon lying down dead. By now they had seen so many demons getting killed every now and then by Krishna and Balarama. They were so used. They thought, okay, this is today's demon. And they asked Balarama what happened. Balarama told them everything that happened. They all started to cheer. Balarama, glory to Balarama, victory, victory. And all the Gopa boys carried Balarama and Krishna and they walked like a procession back to their homes. So that was the defeat of demon Pralamba. So today we recalled 3 incidents from the life of Krishna in his childhood, right? Weren't they interesting? Likewise, so many challenges were faced. And remember the prophecy that we saw in the last session? That indeed came true. After a few years, Krishna and Balarama, they both traveled to Mathura. They faced so many challenges there. They killed so many asuras. And finally, Krishna did slay Kamsa. Then he released from the prison his own parents, Devaki and Vasudeva. They were so happy to see Krishna. He also released King Ugrasena. Remember the father of Kamsa? He was also released from the darkest dungeons of the palace. And Ugrasena was crowned the king of Mathura once again. Yeah, did you all like today's session? We will end today's session with a nice song. He Govinda, He Ananda Nanda Gopala, Mohana Muralidhara Shama Gopala. He Govinda, He Ananda Nanda Gopala, Mohana Muralidhara Shama Gopala. Sundara Giridhari Hare Natavara Lala, Madhava Keshava Madana Gopala. Sundara Giridhari Hare Natavara Lala, Madhava Keshava Madana Gopala. He Govinda, He Ananda Nanda Gopala, Mohana Muralidhara Shama Gopala. Shama Gopala, Shama Gopala. Okay, thanks for being a wonderful audience. I loved today's session. I will meet you all with yet another interesting story of Krishna in the next session. Till then, it is bye from Shamala.